Hello and welcome to Helping Hands. This is a program sponsored by the City of Scottsdale Human Services. I'm Valerie Keim-Trujillo, Human Services Manager. Are you interested in getting involved in your community through your church, your synagogue, or your mosque to help people in Scottsdale? If you're looking for some great ideas, stay tuned today as we have 3 faith organizations that are doing amazing work here in our community. Can I have each of you introduce yourselves this morning? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Pastor Bruce Johnson from Scottsdale Presbyterian Church in the southern part of our city.
Linda Rigo, a member of Our Lady Perpetual Help Catholic Church, and I'm here on behalf of Family Promise. I'm the parish coordinator.
And I'm Reverend Judy Stahl, the outreach minister at First Christian Church on McDonald.
Very good. Thank you so much for coming today. All 3 of you have been doing such great work in our community. And Pastor Bruce, you have been at this for many years, I know. You want to give us a little history about your involvement in the community and kind of why you get involved as you do with Scottsdale Presbyterian?
Well, I remember it was my second day on the job. My wife and I had returned to Scottsdale in 2000, and there was a meeting of social workers and faith leaders in the city. And that was the start of that. And from that meeting, we developed what we called the Interfaith Network of Scottsdale. We were going to call it the Scottsdale Interfaith Network, but then we discovered the acronym SIN might not be appropriate in certain contexts. But from that, we became involved in a number of things, working cooperatively with different faith communities, other nonprofits in the city, trying to make sure people knew one another and work cooperatively as we could. So that's been a real dynamic thing. I guess I'm involved in those things because I like to help people, like to live out my faith.
And it's a wonderful opportunity that you have just started, a program called Community Navigators. Can you talk about Community Navigators, how that started and what that consists of?
Right. There was a interfaith breakfast sponsored by St. Patrick's Catholic Community in 2009 in October. And there's so many faith leaders that attended. That was the largest meeting of faith leaders in our city's history. Mm-hmm. And everybody was looking at one another and with this kind of shell-shocked look because we were all overwhelmed with requests for aid. You know, it was a tough time economically for so many people in our city and across the country. And we said, well, what could we do if we worked cooperatively together? So we met for about a year. Some of the major partners in that were First Things First, Scottsdale Healthcare, the city of Scottsdale. A couple of churches became involved and synagogues. And out of that developed the Community Navigator program. It's a model of working collaboratively together to expand the capacity of a community to do good. So a Community Navigator is not necessarily a trained professional. Often it's a volunteer, a lay person connected with either a service club or faith community that begins to get training in a broad spectrum of knowledge on resources for people that are in financial distress, either healthcare resources or social service resources. And that way it expands the ability of different groups of people in our city to help others.
And the Community Navigator program now has been operating a couple of years, and how many people have gone through it, and what have you seen as some of the successes?
Right, we've just finished our 4th cycle, so 4 years of doing this. We've had approximately 106 people that have gone through the complete training, and about double that number who have received some part of that training. And we are just beginning a study this month through Dr. Robin Boniface at Arizona State University, who's going to do the academic work to demonstrate that when you get people in a community all working together, that's more effective than people working separately. So we'll have some interesting things that will come out of that. And curiously now it's begun to expand to other cities in our state. On April 2nd will be the first Community Navigator training in the city of Phoenix. So
oh, wonderful.
We're excited about that.
Yeah, excellent. Can you talk a little bit about the different topics that people are introduced to or the different organizations that they might get to meet through Community Navigators?
Right, we've had over 24 different organizations be involved in training. It's interesting, everybody that we ask, could you spare somebody knowledgeable in a certain area, can you come and give training in this? Everybody says yes. It's just really remarkable. So we've had, of course, different sections of the city of Scottsdale, the police department, the fire department, the school system, hospitals, We've had hospice organizations, just quite a variety. And we try to first give people an introduction to social work in a community, what's involved, what are some of the basics of that, some things about confidentiality. Then we try to go in depth in particular areas of greatest need, infant, children, teens, and then senior citizens. And for that, make sure we have a balance between social service resources that are out there and healthcare resources. And we also teach people to use, go on the web and use Arizona 211 as a way to become familiar with what resources are out there. It's a great program. There's even apps for that on Android and iPhones that help people to say, boy, I've got somebody I'm talking with right now. Where can I go from help? What's available?
And that is a really important number for us to emphasize today. 211, just like 911 when you want to call the police, 211 is an actual number throughout the state of Arizona to find help and resources. That is a very simple three numbers to remember and really get the help that you might need. How do you target the folks that are coming into the class?
Well, we depend on each individual service club or faith community or nonprofit to do that. Our emphasis has been, let's provide quality training and then offer that broadly and usually offer that for free. We had an interesting experience on our third cycle. We couldn't get all the funding that we needed, so we had to, for the first time, charge people $20 to cover expenses, and it doubled the enrollment for that class. So that says something. I'm not exactly sure what, but yeah, so.
Interesting. And so do you have any idea how many faith organizations have been represented through that training with their leaders, their lay people?
Right, it's about 40, but we're going to do the academic study to get that more precise number, and that way that'll help all of the different stakeholders, the different people that have been involved, either in sending people to be trained or in sending trainers to stay involved and say, yep, this is a good thing, and that's what we want.
It really is a wonderful opportunity. I think it's enlightening to realize how many nonprofit services and resources there are in our Scottsdale community, and obviously it's something that we're trying to highlight through this show and through a lot of our work in the community. We as a city actually fund almost 50 nonprofits through our different funding sources through the city of Scottsdale. So it's often there are often a lot of services that people are just not aware of that exist in our community for children or seniors or families, that this opportunity in getting through Community Navigators really highlights for them to get involved and learn what's happening right here in Scottsdale.
Exactly,
So.
yeah.
Well, thank you. It's a really amazing program. If people want more information about Community Navigators, Pastor Bruce, would there be a number or contact information? We'll have it at the end of the show as well. But is there your number maybe you can share to get more information about that?
Sure. My number is 602, it's 480 946-4207, or you can send an email to info@scottsdalechurch.com. info@scottsdalechurch.com, and we'll make sure you get the information on the next Community Navigator training.
And when will that be happening? Maybe
That will either be happening in early June or in mid-September, depending on what the stakeholders think is best. We've had a survey out to the people that have gone through the Community Navigator training program to say, well, which of those options will be best, and based on that, we'll set the date.
Good. So it's coming sometime later this year.
Absolutely.
So there's a class coming. We can find some more folks out there that might be interested in learning about those great resources in our community. Thank you so much. Community Navigators, get it on your schedule for later this year. So thank you for being here and sharing. Linda, you are the parish coordinator for Family Promise at Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and that's here in Scottsdale. And Family Promise is something probably a lot of people don't know about. So would you start by telling us about who Family Promise is?
Family Promise is an organization that helps homeless families with children to become self-sufficient, and they do that with the help of the faith community throughout the valley. OLPH has been involved with it for 12 years. The services that they provide give them the groundwork to become more positive in self-assurance that they can certainly make it in the future on their own, and the whole program is based on that premises.
Now, Our Lady of Perpetual Help is one of like maybe a dozen churches here in Scottsdale that are helping Family Promise.
Right.
What exactly is that commitment? What do you, through your church, provide to Family Promise families?
The commitment for us, we're a little bit different because we have the school, but our commitment is 3 weeks out of the year. We provide a safe, secure environment for families from Family Promise that are in their program at that time. We give them, we house them overnight. We provide 3 meals a day for all of them. Clothing and shoes if we need to. In the summertime, we do a school supply drive and provide the children with school supplies, and then we take them shopping for a new outfit for that first day of school. I remember as a kid that was the fun thing, was to get that new pair of shoes and that new outfit that first day. So we make sure that the children get that. And then we usually house families during the holiday season, either the week of Christmas or the week of New Year's. And if it's the week of Christmas, Santa Claus, of course, comes.
Wonderful.
And New Year's, we try to entertain them with things going on throughout the valley, like the zoo lights in the McCormick Railroad Park, things that they maybe normally would not be able to ever participate in. So we try to, and that helps to loosen or lessen their burden and give them some relief from the anxiety that they feel from the situation that they're in. And that's the whole purpose of what we do at the church level.
That's wonderful, and I guess I'm hearing that homeless families are really on the increase. That when we
Yes.
see our homeless population, a lot of them are families these days.
Right. We have, there's always a waiting list, and the different organizations throughout the valley do refer them from one organization to another. From our program, they would go into transitional housing and work with other organizations throughout the valley so that the families are well taken care of and educated along the way, so that once they are in their own permanent home, that they will be able to stay there, and they have the confidence and the self-assurance that they've got the training now, and they understand what it takes to stand on their own 2 feet and make sure that their children are well taken care of.
And Linda, what is Family Promise looking for when they select the families that come to your church?
People who have been sleeping in their cars, and maybe because they have a family pet that they don't want to give up. Well, we now are able to take care of the family pet also, because PetSmart came in about 2 years ago and started a program with the local unit here, and it's now throughout the country. But PetSmart has come in and taken one of our apartments and converted it into cages for cats and dogs. And so now the family that has the pet that they've been sleeping in the car with for the last 5 weeks now has a place to go because their pet is welcome also.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So when they're at your facility, what's the length of time that they're at your church, and how does that all work as far as you all taking care of them or helping to support them?
They arrive at our church about 5:30 in the evening. Dinner has been prepared by volunteers. We have dinner. We always plan evening activities to take their mind off of the anxiety and the problems that they've had during the day that's most stressful. The lights go out at 10 o'clock. They sleep overnight. We have chaperones that stay with them. And they get up between 5 and 5:15 the next morning, because the van picks them up at 5:30 to take them back to the day center. And the day center is now located in Scottsdale, which is really marvelous for us. And so they have a shorter travel time.
The day center is really a critical piece of this self-sufficiency for the families. Can you
Right.
talk about what happens at the day center at Family Promise?
Well, the day center, it's kind of crazy. The families have one apartment that they have remodeled, and they stay there for, it's like a 6 to 8 week duration. I believe 60 days. So that's what, 2 months. And during the time they're there, the children are put in preschool, child services for babysitting. The children who are in school continue their education. Sometimes they relocate to the schools close by the center. Sometimes they are kept in the schools that they have come from.
Wonderful.
The parents are helped with their resumes. They're helped to find jobs and how to look for jobs and whatever's in their category. There are parenting sessions. There is financing sessions to teach them the skills that they have lacked and got into the situation that they're in to begin with. So their day is pretty full. So by the time they get to us in the evening, they're pretty exhausted. So it's nice for them to be able to relax and feel that they are in a secure place and get a good night's sleep out of it anyway.
And where in your church do you put them? do the families stay, or do
well,
you have bunks? Do you have?
Well, the program itself has air mattresses, and the air mattresses travel with the program. So we provide the linens for them, of course, and we put up cabanas in a large room, and that gives them a little bit of privacy. It's not soundproof by any means, but it does allow family to have a little family time, just their own family together, because at the day center they can't do that. I mean, everybody's just thrown together. So they do appreciate that little bit of privacy that we are able to give them. And then, we feed them buffet style family, they help themselves, and we provide stuff in the evening to keep them busy. And sometimes they really don't want to be bothered, and they will go in their rooms, and a lot of them bring their Bibles and read their Bibles in the evening with their children, and spend family time together that they aren't able to do during the day.
How wonderful! And how many of your church volunteers are involved in the process, and what do they all do?
Well, it takes about 50 to 70 volunteers for a week.
Wow!
So it's from cleaning up, setting up, doing the meals, entertaining the families at night, collecting the donations of food and clothing that comes in for them while they're with us. Linens have to be washed. Sometimes we have maybe 7 or 8 families in a week, because we start out with 4 at a total of about 14 people. But some family may transition out on Tuesday, and you'll have a new family Tuesday night.
Wow.
So you need somebody that's in there to take care of the linens. And then, that could happen every day of the week, depending on how their program is progressing. So it's a pretty busy time.
How exciting, though. What a wonderful opportunity for your church folks to get involved and really meet people who are living a different lifestyle.
Right.
And just really feel like they're making a difference for them and helping
Right,
them.
and you never know when that smile or that handshake or that hug at the end of the day or the next morning before they leave could be the one act of kindness that will turn their life around, or the one thing that they'll remember from being at our church that will spark that light bulb to go off and say, hey, I got it. I understand what it means. Yeah. And like you say, it's an opportunity for us to practice our faith. I mean, we've been taught from the time we were little to, if I don't have clothes, to clothe me, and if I'm hungry, feed me. And, so it's just a perfect opportunity for every age group. We get them from the young children to the retirees that are volunteers, and it's just a great overall program, especially for our parish, which is an older parish.
Mm-hmm. How wonderful. And it's a wonderful opportunity to share with other churches and synagogues and mosques throughout Scottsdale that this opportunity is really available to any of them who would like to take in a family, maybe just 1 week a year, or like you say, 3 weeks a year. And so Family Promise is always looking for
Family Promise sends them out as a
churches to
group.
do that.
And
So
you don't
that's
ever
great.
do it in your home, you do it in your church. So it would be, 4 families or 5 families, a total of 14 people, I believe, is what they're capable of handling now. So, and they do have 2 rotations, so they're not handling just 4 families, they're handling 8 families and 28 people. each week. So, and it's on a continuous rotation.
Wonderful.
So it takes a lot of coordination on their part and a lot of coordination on the church's part to get the volunteers for
It's
that.
a great program, and it really gives people hope that there's people out there that care about them.
That care
in the
about them,
community.
right?
So
Exactly.
thank you so much for sharing and being here with us, Linda.
You're welcome.
Reverend Stahl, you are doing wonderful things at First Christian Church that you have been involved with for a long time, and primarily you've been really connected with our Vista del Camino program here at the city. You want to talk about all the different pieces that you do in helping Vista del Camino through your church?
Sure. When I was asking last night if anyone knew when we started helping Vista del Camino with the food bank, no one knew, because they said from the very start, they think in 1967 when it started, they started helping them. So it could have been 30 or 40 years, but once a month we collect food for the food bank. And then we also help with the adopt a family at Thanksgiving and at Christmas. And we started in the last 2 years learning, taking a training course in order to screen these people for back to school and for adopt a family at Christmas and Thanksgiving. And then to help distribute, and besides that, collect all the items that we need.
Oh, wonderful. So you're kind of full operation. You enroll the client into the program, and then you get the goods. And are there a lot of your church folks involved in the actual donating and coordinating and delivering? I would imagine that takes a lot of bodies to get that all
Oh yes,
done.
it does. A lot of people are involved in collecting food for the food bank, but then there's a smaller number that likes to do the screening, and a different group that likes to do the distribution, and another group that likes to buy the items and donate the food and the money and the clothing and the supplies. And the toys at Christmas, of course.
Oh yes, absolutely. And seeing the faces of some of the families who come in to pick up those goods, whether it's toys for their children or some household goods, I know the experience is really very touching, that you get that feedback that this is really important and very meaningful for the families, because they wouldn't be able to provide that to their children if they didn't have help from churches. And
I walked one lady out to the car with a lot of items, and she was crying all the way. Of course, I started crying too.
Absolutely. It's very meaningful, and it's really, I think it's hard sometimes for our Scottsdale community to realize how very little some of our families have. We do have over 15,000 people living in poverty in Scottsdale. Sometimes we lose sight of that with the comfort that many of us live in our community, and so touching that person and really seeing that they're real in our community is a really wonderful experience. You have started a program that's been ongoing now for a couple of years called Healthy Packs when you were at Arcadia Neighborhood Learning Center. That is wonderful, and I want you to explain how this all got started and what that program does for our kids.
All right. When children came into my classroom, I was the reading teacher. I found that many of them were hungry, and they were just dying for lunch. And then I found out that they didn't have enough to eat on weekends, because these were the children who had the free and reduced lunches and breakfasts. And so on the weekends, they didn't have enough to eat. And so it just happened that there was an article about Brain Food, which is in Mesa, where they where they pass out food on weekends. And so I took it to my principal, and then the PTO, and then the nurse, and the community specialist, and then I had to go to the district and go to the superintendent, the food services, and it ended with the attorneys, and it took over a year to get it through the process.
Wow.
But then we started collecting food and money at ANLC, and then part of the population was collecting it, and then part of the population was receiving it. And it really made a difference. When I was walking down the hall, some of the kids didn't know what day it was that they passed out, and they came up and they said, "Oh, you're the food lady." And I thought that was okay that they called me the food lady.
That's great. That's great.
They were excited.
And the confidentiality of that is pretty important, in that those packs of food, and can you share what's in maybe a healthy pack?
Yes, we try and get 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, 2 dinners, and then snacks in them. And we have them coded, and we know the codes so that other people don't know the names when they receive them in the classrooms, and we try and pass them out and stick them in their backpacks when they're at playground. And so nobody actually knows, unless the kids let it be known who receives it. And some of the kids really like to tell people.
And those are all slipped in on Friday afternoon,
Yes,
so that
ma'am.
they have food for the weekends. It's
Yes.
really a kind of a weekend program, so that those kids are sure that you're sure that they have something. And they're all prepackaged little kind of packages, right?
Yes,
That-
they're kid friendly, they're prepackaged, they're small, and things that kids can open and prepare themselves. And the way this grew, if you'd like to, are you wanting to know how it grew?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, from ANLC it went over to Tonalea, and there are 10 Title I schools in Scottsdale, people who need this, and so we really would like to expand, but right now we're just in 2 schools. And Scottsdale leadership found out, and they wanted to pass out food to children, and they wanted to help the hungry, and they found out that we were already doing it. And so Commander Walther, he's higher than that now.
He's Assistant Chief Walther.
Yes,
now.
yes.
Wonderful
Anyway,
man.
he came over to the school, and the funny thing was, when he walked down the hall with me in a uniform, everyone thought that Mrs. Stahl was in trouble.
Oh,
But
don't want to be escorted through by a police officer at school.
But
do you?
anyway, he found out how we did it, and then he expanded it to Scottsdale leadership, to the Rotary, to Vista, to POSA, and I'm probably forgetting others, besides the fact that my church kept pushing me through the 1.5-year process, and there was another church that did so as well, besides providing money. And so it's really helped a lot, and now Vista purchases the items with the donation money, and then the Rotary puts them in the bags and then takes them to the schools.
How wonderful, and what a wonderful opportunity for other churches or synagogues or mosques in our community, other faith organizations, to get involved, to maybe adopt another school, because we're seeing that we would love to go into Yavapai. We know
Yes.
that there's Hohokam. With 10, 11 and Title I schools, we know there's a lot more children that aren't getting the food on the weekends. So it would be wonderful to have some of our other faith organizations get involved in the Healthy Packs program and help kids get food on the weekends.
And there's
as well.
all different ways to do it. Besides money, people bring food, or they get together and they assemble the things by themselves. When we have our 5th Sunday of the month, there's only 4 5th Sundays, and I'll tell you about the Operation Fix It that we also do, but the people that stay back at the church on the 5th Sunday, they have collected all the food, and then they just come from the church service and start getting in a line, assembly line, and start putting the food in the bags, and we took over 100 bags last time.
Very nice. Yeah, it's awesome. And the kids are so appreciative of that. I'm sure that their little backpacks come empty on Monday again because they're all gone from the weekend, but that's wonderful, yeah. Operation Fix It, could you talk just a minute about what your church does related to that as well?
Well, the 4 Sundays that there's a 5th Sunday, we decided that we would meet at the park for 15 minutes, those who wanted to participate, and it's probably about 1/3 of our congregation. And we have a 15-minute service, and then we go out into the community and help. And I contacted Michelle from Operation Fix It, and she's the one that started the program. And we go to different properties that sometimes they've gotten notices from the city that they weren't holding up their cleaning up their property, or it was a mess in some way. And so we clean it up for them because they were either disabled, or they just got home from the hospital, or they didn't have the money to fix the property. And so most of the church people are able to go and fix that property, and then the other people that stay back do the Healthy Packs.
That is great. You all are doing amazing things. I can't thank you enough for being with me today. Our time is gone, but thank you for everything you do. Okay, Scottsdale, there's wonderful opportunities out there. We have maybe 150 churches or faith institutions in our community. If you want, these are only 3 of the organizations doing wonderful things. If you're looking for something wonderful to do, please look at our contact information if you want any more information about the folks on our show today, and let us know how you can help our community as well. Have a great day, Scottsdale.